Peace, y'all. You're tuned into the Edible Activist Podcast, and I am your host and favorite edible activist, Melissa L. Jones. On this show, we feed you empowering narratives and perspectives from the voices of emerging Black people and people of color in agriculture and business who are stewarding the land, healing communities, and advocating for food justice and economic power across the country. Their contributions and stories exemplify the spirit of activism in their own edible way. Let's get started. Peace. It's your favorite edible activist, Melissa L. Jones, and I am joined today by returning guest, Mario Vitalis, who is the owner and operator of New Age Provision Farms, a hydroponics business based in Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome back, Mario.
Thank you, Melissa. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Part two. So, Mario, the last time we chatted, which was back in July, oh my goodness, and it's almost October, you introed us to your hydroponics business, and we talked about your experience as a freight farmer. What we did not chat about in that episode was about your USDA loans that were actually in the process of being forgiven. And want to take an opportunity during this episode to have part two of our conversation and talk about this process, because this has been huge for your farming journey. So I'm excited to reconnect. I want our new listeners to hear a brief intro from you, your personal spin. You know, I gave them a taste. And for those who missed out on the past episode, it is number 114. Okay. So you guys go check out that episode 114 with Mario Vitalis. So Mario, thank you again. So let's do a re-intro, if you will, and actually a new intro for our new listeners on the show.
Okay, no problem. So my name is Mario Vitalis. I'm the owner and founder of New Age Provisions Farms. We're based out of Indianapolis, Indiana, on the east side of the city. We do shipping container farming, which is hydroponic farming within a shipping container. We're the first ones in Indiana to do this type of farming, and we are also the first African Americans to own a freight farm's greenery. And how we got there was through funding through the USDA process. And so that's what we're here to talk about today, that process, and also how I went through that and my experience with it.
I love it. You might as well just go ahead and steal the show, Mario. You got this.
All right. So I do want you guys to know that I've been getting a lot of questions about the USDA loan process ever since I did the Freight Farms webinar back in November of last year. And it was probably, I would say, the core start of my getting my business going, because, you know, without them, I wouldn't have been able to get funded. And fast forward today, time flew, and now I look back and that loan has been forgiven. So by the grace of God, you know, and the stars had aligned and the timing was right, all that money that I once fought so hard for has been forgiven. So let me tell you about the story. Now,
before we dive all the way in, because I'm ready. I got my suit on, I got my goggles, because I'm ready, Mario. For those who aren't familiar with Freight Farm, shout out to Freight Farms. I have to shout them out. Tell them just a little bit about Freight Farm. So if we mention it throughout the show, our listeners know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, shipping container farming. Freight Farms is one of the main companies that take shipping containers, the ones that you see going up and down the highways, and they customize them with the latest and greatest hydroponic technology that allows you to grow inside, that allows you to farm inside of a shipping container 365 days around, 365 days a year within a climate controlled environment. You have the technology to control the air temperature, the humidity, the lights, and make the environment such a pleasant one for your plants. So they're one of the manufacturers that do it, and they do it best. And I was able to buy 2 of those shipping containers to get my business started.
All right, Mario, I got my goggles on. I'm ready. Let's dive. Let's talk about this process. Was the loan like the only choice that you had? did you explore other options, or did you feel like in that present moment that was the only option that you had to go was with the USDA loan to get your business started?
The USDA loan is the first option. I would always recommend anyone to, when you're looking into farming, to look towards the USDA because they do have loans for beginning farmers, for women farmers, veteran farmers, minority farmers. And so that's always the beginning process. And you have to go through them first, I would suggest. But when I did it, I went towards USDA and private funding at the same time because the cost of the container was more than the USDA microloan that I was going for.
Okay. Okay. So take us to the start of that process.
Yeah, definitely. So back in 2018, when I first launched my business, the first thing I wanted to do was get it up and running and get it funded. I already knew that I wanted to get a shipping container. So, I wanted to go towards a USDA loan process. And the first thing I did was find my local farm service agency, which is a key part of it. And just to kind of let people know what that is, the USDA is the entity that will give the loan, but the farm service agency, they're the entities that service the loan. So they're going to do the approvals and they're going to do the payment processes for you. And they'll also do the consultations and supposed to help you with the application process. So it's always important to know your local farm service agency. Here in Indiana, our farm service agency was in Decatur County, and they weren't familiar with seeing people like me in the farming industry, especially in this new type of farming. So I was presented with a lot of challenges at first when I went through the application process, and just acquiring the application and getting the proper forms was a challenge itself.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I definitely wanted to uh, swim over to that for a moment because, in the beginning, you suggested, okay, the USDA loan, being one of the first stops that any beginning farmer should visit,
Mm-hmm.
when starting their business. But definitely in conversations that I've had, and actually one in particular who I've had on the show, farmers who have experienced challenges with just the loan process itself, with discriminatory practices,
Yep.
being that, they are a person of color, a Black male, a Black woman, and trying to acquire a loan, and just the challenges that they had during that process. So it's interesting to hear you say that. And if I would love for you to expound on that a bit more on some of those challenges that you had, because I think that's, not to discredit or take away the loan forgiveness process, which we'll definitely continue to inch towards. But I do want to amplify that just a bit because it has been a consistent issue. And so definitely just want to pause there. And if you can just expound on some of those challenges that you had during that loan process.
Exactly. So I would say the first one is being taken for granted. When I walked into the office and tried to inquire about just starting a farm, they looked at me and my idea and kind of took it for granted, didn't take me seriously. I was kind of getting the runaround on how to acquire the proper forms for the loan. I ended up finding out that there are like 9 separate forms that you need for an application. I was trying to get some information on how to fill out those forms. It was hard to get that. So I had to navigate my way through the process by myself just to get the forms I needed and to know how to fill those forms out. And then
Wow.
once I got those forms filled out, the information within the forms was challenged. So I had to go back and prove to the USDA that I had a feasible business case or a business plan, what they call it.
9 forms.
Yes, 9
Mm.
forms. Can you believe that?
Mm, mm, mm. No
And don't
mentorship
get me wrong.
along the way, no anyone who's done it before, and I know you actually had said before, I think one of the agencies is it FSA who's
Yeah, Farm
supposed
Service
to
Agency.
Farm
FSA
Service
is the
Agency,
acronym.
supposed to assist with the process, and did you feel like that wasn't the case while you were going through it?
I definitely felt like that wasn't the case as I was going through it. It just, uh, it's hard to explain, but you kind of know when you feel not welcomed and when you know you're going to face an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
And did you
the forms that I had to fill out, they were all about farming. And being that I was new to farming, it was more difficult for me to fill that out. Like they wanted things like a 3-year financial history, 3-year production history, property owned and leased, farm business plan, your projections and your balance sheets. And I was new to farming. I just registered my business. A lot of that information I didn't have. So it was a little bit more challenging for me to get that and fill out those forms.
Wow, absolutely. Yeah, because in our last episode, we had talked, about you practically being new to this.
Exactly.
So applying for a loan and new to the business. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. But that's courage.
It is.
That's
It
courage.
is. Courage, determination, and having a goal.
Yeah. Did you feel discouraged throughout the process at all? At any point, what did you feel discouraged?
Yes, I did, Melissa. And so let me tell you. So when I first launched my business, I went to the Farm Service Agency to apply for a direct operating loan. And just to put them into perspective, there's different kind of loans. You have direct loans and indirect loans, uh, which are meant to provide money for equipment or storage. And those loans can be like 250K plus, and then or 200,000 or more. Then you have microloans, which are 50,000 or less. And the process to apply for a microloan is less stringent than a direct loan, and the qualifications are less because those are meant to encourage more people into farming. So I initially applied for the direct loan because I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that a microloan would not have been enough to fund the container. And when I applied for that, my application was challenged. The details in my application was challenged. The information was challenged. And I was very discouraged. And eventually I pulled that application back and had to go back to the drawing board and get things right with my business plan and all that stuff. So yeah, I discouraged. I was discouraged.
Oh, wow. About how long did this process take from start to finish? Prior to, and we're not talking about the loan forgiveness, but just
Mm-hmm.
getting approval for the loan.
So I started the process in October 2018. I was able to get my first check in, I would say, June 2020.
Oh, wow.
So
Are you
it's not a
kidding me?
short process by any means. At least my process wasn't short. It could be for someone else now that they can use the information that I have and apply it to their scenario. You don't have to go through so many pitfalls as I had to. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to communicate this.
Mm. What are some of the other, you had mentioned being on a webinar, a Freight Farm webinar. What was some of the other questions or just the angst that you might have felt from those who had questions for you and really wanted to, know like how you did it? Or, and even especially again with the um, loan forgiveness program, what was some of the most like heightened questions that you received?
Well, I think a lot of people, when they deal with the USDA, they're going to get challenged. One, on their farm feasibility, the operate the feasibility of your operating plan. That's one, and your education is two. Those were two
Mm.
things that, as an individual, you're going to have to overcome and prove to the Farm Service Agency that you can do it. And those were a lot of the questions I started to receive after the webinar of people who have, went through that path, but were presented with those questions. And so for me, one of the things I had to do for the education is I had to prove to them, one, that 3 college degrees, 2 Six Sigmas was good enough to plant some seeds.
Wow.
I didn't have the typical farm experience, being on the farm and having experience with the season and a traditional farming that most people would, but I didn't need that for this type of hydroponic farming.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
Mm-hmm.
up to me to convince them that, what I needed is different than what's required. And so I just did not ignore the request. I still was able to get online and go through the website Upstart University and take different type of hydroponic certification courses that enabled me to learn a lot about the farming process and a lot about the farming market in general, and also toned the knowledge into growing hydroponically. And once I took those courses, I printed off all those certificates and brought them back to the USDA and the Farm Service Agency. And I was still
Wow, here are my receipts.
exactly, exactly. Not only that, but I even told them that, hey, on top of the education I'm receiving online and I've received in the past, Freight Farms also will fly you to Boston and allow you at the time to have a 2-day training session within the freight farm and experience what it's about. You get to go through the operation, the calibration, and also learning how to troubleshoot the machine for 2 days. You can't get any better than that. Sitting with the manufacturer of the equipment for 2 days and learning about it. And even then, that was not enough for them to approve my initial or my request for the loan.
Man, oh man, oh man. You need a cape, kryptonite, you know, to not be black.
Exactly.
We can keep it real, to look white. I mean, let's just keep it real. So, and it's just frustrating because to this present moment, even with the USDA, forgiveness initiative, to this day, I've had recent conversations, with farmers with the same challenges. So, and this is historical.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't just yesterday. This is historical, which segueing really more into the USDA loan forgiveness initiative and program, as why we have this, because of the blatant discriminatory practices against people of color farmers, not just yes, people of color farmers.
Mm-hmm.
So when you
Socially
were
disadvantaged, they like to call
disadvantaged, yes, absolutely, absolutely. When you were in the process of acquiring the loans, was this at all a part of the conversation, or because this is still pretty
it. Mm-hmm.
recent that you got the loan?
So
I mean, I
yes,
know it's 2021, but 2018 ain't that long ago either.
no, it
Well, you
wasn't
technically didn't get it. Well, you got your first check in what, 2021 or 2020?
2020.
2020. That was
Yeah,
last year.
there's a long process before then. So let me tell you about it.
Woo!
So initially in 2018, I applied for the first direct loan, but I was denied. So I pulled my application back. I couldn't give up on my dream. I just had to find another way to do it. So I took the advice they gave me. I sharpened up my pencil, redid my business case, was able to write my business case from a few pages out to like 20 pages long, defining, using my MBA skills, using the 4 Ps of marketing, defining the price, promotion, the placement. All of that was in detail. I went to started researching pricing, went and started researching the veggies that I could sell in my local neighborhood. I had it like I knew what I can sell and what I was going to sell it for. So that wasn't a question. I did my research in the local indie market. Next thing was the education. I was working full time, so I started taking those online classes when I got off work. I was up to like 1 and 2 in the morning taking courses, online courses, trying to get the education right. And all this was in prep to reapply for the direct loan. So come about 2019, it was in the middle of 2019, probably like May or June. I got the courage up to reapply for the direct loan. The reason is because at the time Freight Farms was doing these like remote. It wasn't remote, but they were doing like sponsor events with freight farm owners. So they would go to different places around the nation and they would open the doors up to or freight farm owners would open their doors up and they would let potential future freight farm E's come in and like look at the machines and ask the current freight farmers questions. So there was an event in Miami that was planned for August 2019 that I was definitely going to go to. We were able to meet Hammock Greens at that event, and they had owned 5 freight farm containers. So
Oh,
I knew
wow.
if they were gonna tell me the right stuff, it was gonna be them. You know what I'm saying? So I got the courage up. I was like, okay, that's gonna be the day. I'm gonna have all my ducks in a row so that on August 2019, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sign the purchase agreement and everything. So a few months before, I applied for the direct loan in anticipation that I would be able to be funded by August. Do you know they discouraged me so much, I had to pull it again.
Oh, my.
Not only that, but then they said, well, I told them what I was up against. I was like, look, I only got a few months. I'm gonna need this funding somehow. So they said, okay, well, how about this? We don't really feel like it was in a way they didn't feel like I can qualify for the direct loan. So they encouraged me to pull that application back and apply for the microloan, which had less requirements, sort of say. And it was a quicker approval process.
Mm-hmm.
I was up against the gun at the time. So I was like, okay, no problem. I pulled back my direct loan and then resubmitted the information for a microloan. I knew I was going to be short on the funds. The microloan's only $50,000. I was asking for like $100K to pay for the whole container. So that means I had to find private sourcing, which I did. I was able to look towards some equipment financing and come up with that gap of like $75K, and I depended on the USDA for their $50K. Guess what
Wow.
happened?
What happened?
They denied my loan. They denied my loan they denied my application for a microloan.
Oh, my. Shut the front door.
Nope. So let me tell you. So August come around, I don't fill out the application. It's June. I was like, all right, forget that. Scratch the direct loan. I'm gonna hurry up, get this application submitted for the microloan. Get it in, boom. Before August come, I'm gonna be on the plane. Application was submitted. I had the other backup financing in place. I thought I was good. Went down to Miami, August 2019. I signed the purchase agreement for my first freight farm.
Mm.
I was kind of nervous because, the funding wasn't completely there, but I had confidence. Plus, I had faith.
Yeah.
Flew back. They started dragging their feet so much. Kept questioning me. Okay, what is this container that you're trying to do here? What is this idea? I would submit them the whole brochure that freight farms would send me. Okay, well, let's look at your numbers. We want to see the numbers. We see what the equipment does, but, the numbers, we can't really back them up. Okay, so I sat down with the Farm Service Agency, scheduled a meeting with them, sat down, took them through my Excel sheet, took them through how I calculated each number, took them through the business case, how I came up with all my pricing and all my marketing information. I thought it was good. That information sat with them for months. It wasn't until December of 2019 that I finally got the letter saying that my microloan was denied. My request for $50,000 microloan was denied. After all the time that I'd spent going through the information with them, telling them about it, showing them pictures of the equipment, getting the extra education, they still denied me. I was floored. Not only that, because I was committed. I was already up against the gun. I didn't know what to do.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Was the concept of shipping containers just that foreign to them, or just it was for what we know it was? Like, I mean, if we're being real, and it's a real question too. Or is it a combination of both?
It was one, it was foreign to them, and it was like, well, It is a little bit of both,
Hmm.
So in Indiana, there was no one in Indiana doing it, and all the farming ideas that they've been funding up to this point had to do with traditional farming, row cropping. If
Of
you're not
course.
growing corn or soybean, they didn't know anything else.
Mm.
So one, it was scared of the unknown, and then it was like looking at me and thinking, "Are we going to believe this guy who has given us this information?" And they didn't believe me. That's why they denied me. But when you get that denial letter, within there, there's also verbiage on an appeal process, and that's what I did.
Yes. Yes. Yes, Mario.
Well,
Yes.
I'm telling you, Melissa. Hey, so once I got that denial letter, it was at a key point in my life because I was so discouraged, and not only that, but it was around the holiday. So I remember getting a call from my grandfather, and he had gave me a call, and he was like, "Hey, are you going to bring the kids to the holiday party?" And I was like, "Look, Grandpa, I don't know. I just don't feel like being around family. I just can't do it." He was like, "Well, at least bring them so I can get a picture with all my grandkids." So I ended up doing
Oh,
it, and during that party, he looked at me, and he could tell in my face I was discouraged. So he asked me about it, and I started telling him about the story and just told him how the process went down, how I couldn't understand how, I would be denied for 50,000. I've been paying my taxes, and I felt I was entitled to just some kind of loan for business funding. I remember what he said to me. He looked at me straight in the face. He was like, "Look, it's not you." He's like, "White folks, they don't want you. They want you to work the land. They don't want you to own it."
mm,
When he said that, that struck such a chord in my soul.
mm,
That night I went back, and with frustration, I just started typing my appeal letter. That 1 page letter ended up turning to 5 pages. Five ended up being 10. By the time I was done, I just sent that letter off and like, yo, let's just see what happens. Next thing you know, I received a call from the judge saying that they wanted to do pretrial and schedule the conference, the pretrial conference for my
yeah.
trial.
Yeah.
And then, it was so hard because at that time, like right when I got that call, it was the same week that I had found out that my grandfather had been murdered.
Oh my
That
God.
conversation that I had with him during the holiday was the last time I was able to speak with him. So, just that in general, put another level of motivation in me to want this even more.
Mm.
And it drove me to like try and continue to try because I did not want to be denied, a dream that I wanted so bad that I've been fighting for. So I prepared for that trial, started printing out all the information I could, backing up all the documents, came in there with like 27 pieces of evidence. I was ready for them. I'm telling you, Melissa.
Ammunition.
Exactly.
Ammunition. And your
But
ancestors.
yeah, but eventually, I did have my appeal trial, went in there confident, presented my case in front of the judge, and ended up winning my appeal. And when they overturned the decision for 50,000, the USDA then came back a month later. They're like, okay, we went through the process. You got appealed. You won your case. We're ready to go forward with the $50,000. I was like, hold on, I don't want 50,000. I want 200,000.
Oh,
Yeah, I wanted them not only to fund the container that I was gonna get, but to give me another one.
yes. Yes.
Yes. And I
Yes.
used the same business case, the same information. And they ended up paying for it too. And so that I ended up getting a check for that in, I would say, June 2020. And like any other farmer, I was grateful. I was just blessed to be able to have my dreams funded. The equipment was paid for by the USDA, and I was continuing to make those monthly payments to them, not knowing what was going to be.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow. Oh my gosh. What a story, Mario. What a story.
Yeah.
So fast forward along, you are you officially out of debt?
Yeah, so let me
Oh
tell
my
you a little bit more. So as I was working, continuing to pay, be faithful, and make every payment. I was struggling. Don't give me that. It's not easy being a farmer. So trying to build my market up and also learn how to farm, it was a learning curve. Fast forward, and then we get a new president in January 2020. No, I'm sorry, in March of 2021, Joe Biden passes the American Rescue Plan Act. Within that act, there's a provision that says 5.4 billion, I think, will be given to socially disadvantaged farmers for loan forgiveness, and anyone who had loans up until January 2020 before qualifies. So I qualify for loan forgiveness.
wow. Oh my goodness. By the
Uh,
hair. By the
out of,
hair.
so out of so much hard work and so much to get the loan, now it's all forgiven. Not only that, but they're giving me 20% on top of the loan balance for any kind of debts incurred.
Fees or okay. Yeah. Yeah. I actually read that what they said 120% or something like that. So
Yeah,
100% of the loan and then the 20 cent for
yeah,
20% for anything additional. So you're not having to come out
exactly.
your pocket with anything associated with that. So
Yeah,
wow.
but they give you money is what they're saying.
Yes. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think so as of now, the loan is forgiven. I'm a debt free farmer, and I'm just sitting back waiting for the payment to come through. The rest of it, which is currently being held up because people have gotten jealous. Other people have gotten jealous, and have filed lawsuits against the USDA. Can you
Yes, they
believe
have. Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
that?
White farmers have
Yeah,
filed
I didn't
lawsuits.
want to say it. I wanted you to say
Yeah,
it.
I will say it. White farmers have filed lawsuits because
Exactly.
they're like giving loan relief to black folks or socially disadvantaged
It's
farmers.
it's not fair,
Not fair. Let's sue. There have been multiple lawsuits. Oh
Yeah.
my. Oh my.
So the USDA had to put a pause on distributing any further funds, but they said they aren't collecting any further funds. So we're just kind of in limbo, waiting for the actions in court to finalize before the process takes place. But I've already got my award letter and sent off my voided check. So I'm just kind of sitting back and waiting.
Oh my goodness, Mario. What a story. What a story. What a
Yeah.
story. Oh my.
And I
What
also
did
want,
you
go ahead.
No, please. Go ahead.
No, what I was saying is, I want people to be encouraged by my story, and
Absolutely.
I took in time, a lot of time, and I'm telling you, this is the first time I'm saying it out loud. I've written a book. It's called Shipping Container Farming. It's going to be available in November 2021. Gives you the details about my journey and how I got there.
Oh my, are you serious,
I'm serious.
Mario?
I'm
And you
serious.
heard it, y'all, exclusively on Edible Activist. Oh my gosh, I
You
am
heard it here
jumping for
first.
joy.
Shipping Container Farming. It's the world's first shipping container farming book.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Available November 2021. I'll even hit you up with the pre-order code so that all your listeners can get a discount.
Oh my goodness. Ah, Mario, fantastic. I'm so excited for you. I am so excited.
Thank
What
you.
advice would you give those who are, seeking the loan forgiveness process? And I guess what was that a long drawn out process itself as well? Because I don't know what that process is. So what was that?
They reach out to you. So
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
I opened up my mailbox and got all kind of letters. They sent one to my home, sent one to the farm, and so yeah, they contact you.
Why that part I did not know. Interesting.
I didn't.
Wow.
Now check this out. Neither did my local farm service agency. So
Oh
the loan was
no.
forgiven. So check this out. Check this out. So my loan was forgiven. The law was passed in March 2021. The loan was forgiven from January. Did you know they kept collecting my money up until I had to tell them to stop in July.
Oh my, yeah. Now they better. You better
Yeah,
get that 20%.
they got to give me all that back too.
Exactly. Yes.
But I'm like, why y'all keep collecting my money? They're like, oh, well, okay, you didn't ask us to stop.
I'm not going to say what I really want to say. I'll reserve opinion on that one.
I'm like, well, if only people knew, I tell you.
If only people knew. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Mario.
Apparently, you do have to ask them to stop taking your money. You have to tell them you want to stop your payment plan. Yeah.
Again, I'm going to reserve opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Mario, what a story. What a story. Congratulations. This is inspiring to me, and I know inspiring to a plethora of farmers in this space, growers, and even just like-minded individuals, who are, just so like deeply just engaged in learning our stories and ones that are attached to rich history, right? Because a lot of the things that we talk about in present time, is historical. And so this is just amazing. Congrats on your book. You heard it first, y'all, on Edible Activist. Mario is dropping a book. You heard, I love when people drop these exclusive gems on my podcast. It makes me feel even more special.
You are special, Melissa. I do appreciate you having me, and definitely look out for my book. The title is called Shipping Container Farming, written by DeMario Vitalis. It's going to be released November 2021. Check out Melissa website for the pre-order details and get your pre-order coupon by following her.
Awesome. I want a signed copy. I want a personal signed copy, Mario.
Of course. You will get a personal signed copy with a message behind it. Thanking you for all the support and help you've given me.
Oh my goodness.
Let me get the word out there that, I'm telling you, it's an opportunity for African Americans and people of color to get involved in the farming. Just today, I saw that there's all kinds of grants available for underserved people. So it's the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can folks find you, Mario, if they want to connect?
You can find me. I'm easy to get I'm easy to get in touch with. You can hit me up on my website, newageprovisions.com. We're on social media, Facebook, Instagram. NAP Farms is the tagline, or New Age Provisions. You can send me a message, send me an email. I'm always willing to get back. Let me know.
Wonderful. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in, and peace. Thanks for tuning in. You can catch today's episode on fullserviceradio.org, as well as iTunes and Spotify. Be sure to follow Food Talks in Color, that's just the letter N, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for all updates. And did you know we're on Patreon? This is a way for you to support our podcast by taking action and amplifying the mission of BIPOC voices on Edible Activists. Depending on the level you choose, we'll shout you out on the show, send you a t-shirt, get access to bonus content, and you might even have a chance to chat with me one-on-one. Visit foodtalksincolor.com to learn more. And are you an edible activist? Have a story to share? Visit the website to connect with me. Peace and blessings. And remember, in the great words of Baba Tariqa Dunu, there is no culture without agriculture.